everyone, welcome back to my channel Sweet Art Crafts. In this video I will be showing you guys my first time making a decoden phone case. I have been wanting to try to make a decoden phone case for a while now, so I hope you guys enjoy this video. Before getting into the rest of this video, I just wanted to reiterate the epoxy resin safety. Make sure that you are wearing nitrile gloves and are working in a well-ventilated room with the windows open. A garage or a porch is preferable, and also make sure that you are wearing a respiratory mask that uses vapor filters. In this clip here, you guys can see I'm putting on my nitrile gloves, and usually nitrile gloves come in this blue color, and the respiratory mask that I use is by the 3M brand, and it has vapor filters. Here are the supplies that I will be using to make the decoden phone case. Everything will also be linked in my description box below, and if I forget anything, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below. The molds that I'll be using are my mini Sakura flower mold as well as my phone grip mold. So if you guys are interested in purchasing these molds, they are available on my website sweetartcrafts.com. I am using a new resin in this video from the Epoxy resin store called ClearCast 7050. I'm really enjoying this resin so far because my pieces come out clear and the resin cures fast as well. One thing I will note with this resin, I have to make sure to wipe the top of the hardener bottle since a white residue does form. If anyone is interested in purchasing this resin, you can use my code SWEETART for 20% off of a minimum purchase of $20 or more. Lately, after mixing my resin and hardener for 5 minutes, I now transferred the mixed resin to another cup and mix for another 2 minutes. This allows me to make sure that everything is mixed properly so that it can cure correctly. I separated the resin into 2 separate cups and I'm going to set one aside. Now I'm going to add hot pink resin dye, iridescent glitter flakes, and an iridescent mix of glitter from Michaels into the other cup of resin. To pop some of the bubbles, I used a heat gun. When using a heat gun, be very careful because it does cut down your resin's pot time and cures faster, which can ruin your molds. I'm going to pour the rest of the resin that I set aside into my phone grip mold for a clear layer, and then I'm just going to let these cure for a few hours. After waiting for about 4 hours, I'm going to use a gold acrylic paint and a dotting tool to paint the Sakura buds. I know that I might have some people comment in the comment section telling me that the buds are not perfectly centered. I know that, but when I was trying to film this, it was kind of hard to make sure that it was all centered, but I tried. Also, be careful when you are painting your mold because you don't want to squish it too much since it will disrupt the resin. So you can see I'm barely touching the mold as much as I can. I recommend waiting an hour or so for the acrylic paint to fully dry on the mold before pouring the resin for the back layer. After mixing the resin and pouring it into another cup to mix again, I will separate the resin into 2 cups. The other portion I will set aside for the phone grip mold. I'm going to add a white opaque resin dye to the resin and mix it thoroughly before pouring it into the Sakura mold for its back layer. With the resin that I set aside, I added the hot pink resin dye, some glitters, and some gold foil flakes. I had some leftover white resin, so I will be pouring these two as a second layer for the phone grip mold. The timing for everything in this video just really depends on the resin that you are using. Like I said earlier in the video, I am using a new resin that cures very fast. So within 5 hours, I was able to do the second layer of everything. It really depends on the resin that you are using. After 24 hours, I demolded the pieces. For the circle piece, I started adding the Sakura stickers to it. I played around with the stickers before settling on the ones that I think went well with the piece. Using a Sharpie pen, I'm going to start tracing the Sakura shape onto a piece of transparency film. To clean the marks off, I'm going to be using 70% rubbing alcohol and a paper towel. I've already picked out the pieces that I wanted to add to the shaker part and the amount that I wanted of each. If you go back to the beginning of the video, you can see exactly which pieces I used for my shaker fillings. I'm not really talking much through this specific process because I do already have an in-depth tutorial showing you guys my process for making shaker charms. If you click the icon above, you can see that video. I am adding the same stickers that I used earlier onto the Sakura shaker. Be mindful that you want to make sure that these pieces are cleaned with rubbing alcohol before adding the stickers so that the stickers properly stick to the piece. I ended up deciding to change the sticker in the bottom section with this one. Also, please keep in mind you want to make sure that the UV resin that you applied to keep the transparency film down is as flat as you can get it and not bumpy, just because the sticker will lift and it will ruin the dome. If you're doing 2 layers of doming like I do, then the sticker lifting shouldn't be so much of an issue because it will be covered up by the second dome. To prep for doming, I wipe both pieces with 70% rubbing alcohol, and for this doming, I'm going to use Art & Glow resin. After mixing the resin and hardening it together, I waited 15 to 20 minutes for the resin to thicken up before doming. I also have an in-depth tutorial on how I dome my pieces. Click the iCard above to watch that video. After waiting 24 hours, this is how the resin pieces look like with their shiny dome. I did do 2 layers of doming, so keep that in mind, but if you're just doing one, you can just wait the 24 hours and not have to do this again. Now it's time to start making the decoden case. I showed the phone case that I was using at the beginning of the video. I'm going to start by making marks into the phone case with a pair of scissors so that the silicone attaches to the case better. Around the camera hole section of the case, I will be adding rhinestones and pearls using my UV resin and my UV torch. So this is my first time making a phone case like this, so I could be completely doing everything wrong. So please bear that in mind and take my advice with a grain of salt, since I'm not really an expert in this, but I did watch a lot of IG videos from Monique's Deco Shop to figure out how to even make the cases like this. So please give her a follow on Instagram. This is the silicone that I will be using for the phone case. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife to cut off the top of it so that I can get to the silicone. And the silicone gun has this needle tip, and I'm going to push it into the bottle so that I can break this seal. And then I'm going to put it back onto the gun so that I can start squeezing out the silicone. Now I'm going to start squeezing the silicone into a cup. I squeezed out quite a bit because I wanted to make sure that I had enough silicone for the phone case. Then I'm going to add some pink mica pigment as well as 4 to 5 drops of white acrylic paint. I used a wood popsicle stick to thoroughly mix everything together. I recommend wearing your mask while doing this because the silicone smells so bad, it's ridiculous. Using a pair of scissors, I cut the tip of the piping bag and inserted the open star tip from the tip set that I showed at the beginning of the video from Walmart. I'm not sure if the tip that I'm using is too small because this was the only set I saw when I was at Walmart, but I noticed when I was trying to pipe the silicone through, it was a little bit hard. Like I kept having to like take breaks and push and like try to pipe it. But I'm going to keep trying out different tips and piping bags to see if that was the issue, because it could have been the reason why I struggled a little bit when piping out everything. So now I'm going to get started on piping the silicone onto the phone case. As you guys can see, I struggled like the first few rows because I wasn't sure the right motion that I should be doing. Even though I did watch videos, when you're actually trying to do it, I felt like I was doing it wrong, which I was for the first few rows. I think during the last row I started to get a little bit of a hang of it. It's really hard to describe the motion that you want to do. It's like you want to not, you see how I keep pushing back? I really shouldn't be doing that. I should just be continuing on to the piece so that the tip part can like fold over into the next one, if that makes any sense. But I could be completely wrong about the motion, but that's just what I've noticed from other decadent artists and their movement with making these phone cases. To add the resin pieces onto the case, I piped on top of the other pipings and then I pressed down the pieces onto that. This allows the pieces to cure onto the phone case. And I also did a last layer, row of silicone. I would not recommend this because once you get too close to the edge of the phone case, when it dries, it does not dry properly and it lifts off. I've seen some decadent phone case artists recommend waiting around a week before using or shipping out these cases to allow them to fully dry. This is how my phone case turned out. I know it's nowhere near perfect and I have a lot to work on, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like this video and share it with your friends. Bye now!